great day, attractive thinker. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. I am delighted that you decided to join us again today because I know that you are living life beyond a break, be it a heartbreak or frustration or whatever it is that you encounter in your life, or a success. I've recently had a break in success, and we have to know how to function, how to live life beyond that break. After a success, now what? Who are you? You're definitely not who you used to be. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Today, we're going to be talking about identity crisis. Welcome, Tichet, to Beyond the Break. Welcome, my
Yes. Happy Monday, everybody. It's such an awesome day to be alive. I'm glad that we're here. May you be continually blessed throughout this week, but let's get it up and popping.
Yes, I am ready for that. And I trust that you are as well, attractive thinker, because every single day we need mental breakfast, mental lunch, mental dinner. We need these mental meals because you cannot forget who you are. You can't leave your heart unguarded while you're on reaching these levels of success in your life, because things can get in, things can seep out, and you're unaware of it. When we talk about an identity crisis, that phrase might sound familiar. When I heard it, Tichet, coming up, when I heard the term identity crisis, the phrase rather, it was referencing guys hitting midlife crisis. What they called it, midlife crisis.
True.
Back in the day, and women experience it as well. But when we talk about identity crisis, when you hit that midlife crisis, things shift. Your perception shifts. How you view yourself in the world shifts, and you got to get your footing again. You got to go back to the drawing board and redesign yourself, so to speak, or reinforce and get clarity on who you are now in this season of your life. When we talk about an identity crisis, that is a situation where as you're not sure who you are. And I know as attractive thinkers, we've all reached that space in our lives. Tichet, enlighten our audience today about identity crisis. How do we find ourselves in an identity crisis? Because as attractive thinkers, sometimes you can be going through an identity crisis and call it something else.
That's true. That is so true. So when I think of our identity, I think about what we define ourselves by, what we measure ourselves by. So remember, we're always talking about whether you view your life as a victor or as a victim, which means you identify more as a victor, which means you define yourself by the things you have conquered, the things you have mastered, the things you have gone through. You identify yourself as a person who have overcome many problems and things like that, a solution type of person. But when you look at yourself as a victim, then you identify yourself with or define yourself by the problems, the not being able to make it through stuff. You feel like something's always happened to you. This is the woe is me. Now, when you define yourself by things, let's make sure that we have the proper perception of measurement that we identify ourselves as. Like, for instance, in order to view yourself as a victor and to define yourself as a victor, then you identify yourself as more than a conqueror. You know that when opportunities or, sometimes what we think is problems, God sees it as opportunities. When those things come to us, instead of looking at them as problems, we look at them as opportunities and we respond as so. So think about when someone calls you by name, whatever your name is, if your name is, Sarah or Jessica or whatever your name is, Tichet, when someone calls you by name, that is an identification that is placed on you. So if I said, legendary Dr. Toni, then I'm identifying her as legendary in my eyes, but it matters whether she sees the legendary in her eyes, whether she identifies as somebody as a legend building legacy, whether she identifies as somebody who stays on top, don't let anything drag her down, that she know that her name is being made great and will be known for generations to come. It matters what you identify as. Now, people can set different identifications on you, but it matters how you identify yourself and if you are in alignment or in agreement with the way God identified you. When he made you, he looked at you and said, it is good. This is my daughter, or this is my son whom I well please. You know, so when he looks at us, he sees us as a good thing. You know, he sees us in his image, in his likeness, and call it a good thing. So when we identify ourselves, we are identifying with that thing which is good. So if we are identified by that thing which is good, then what comes out of us is also good. Our language is also a measurement of identification, because what you say out of your mouth really does is an indicator of what you identify as. So if you are talking to somebody and you're painting a picture as if you're a victim, you can see that that is an indication that you identify as a person with many problems, or a stuck person, or a person who can't make it through. It's not that we don't go through problems as victors. It's that we know we can conquer problems as victors. It's not that we don't go through nothing as people who are more than conquerors. It's that if we know that we're more than conquerors, we know that we're going to overcome each and every opportunity, not problem, opportunities that come with us, because we know that each problem that comes to us is an opportunity for us to grow, to build character, to make it forward. It shows us who we are. It helps us develop, and we know that nothing is coincidental. So all things serve the purpose. All things work together for the good. So when we think of what we're identifying as, it shows up in our language, it shows up in our decisions, it shows up in our action, and it shows up in our consequences. So when you look around your life and you're happy and excited and powerful about life, and you're feeling like you're living high, you're feeling abundant, you're feeling great, you can look at your thought life and see that you identify as something good, somebody's good who's living somewhere good. So when we measure ourselves, we are measuring ourselves based on what we define our life as. So it matters how you see yourself.
I like that. I like that. And it was a lot of things that you said that really will launch attractive thinkers forward and fortify them when they're going through something. You said, get classy. You were talking about identifying where you are. Are you a victim or you're a victor? And I always say you need to know who you are before life knocks on your door. So when we talk about getting this identity crisis, getting clarity on who you are is key. Reminding yourself, like, wait a minute, hold it. Don't let life bully you around, push you around, back you up in a corner. Understand who you are, get clarity, and you have to say it out of your mouth. There's no more, as attractive thinkers, there's no more talking to yourself in your head. This is a mental battle, and in a battle, you have to fight. So you fight this battle with your words. Your words have power, and you have to use them. You say to yourself, no, remember, attractive thinker, you are a victor. So that's a whole different posture. You approach your situations and circumstances totally different when you know that you're a victor. If you forget that you're a victor and you fall back into a victim, then you're going to approach your situation totally different. You're going to get a different outcome. All of that overwhelm is going to be present. All of the disappointment, all of the feelings of being a loser and feeling defeated and, feeling lost. All of that comes with being a victim.
True. Very true.
The victors don't experience that. Victors do not experience all of that, those heavy, low-lying emotions and those negative thoughts and perceptions and images of themselves. They don't experience that. And if they do, when they try to come forward or flow up, they know what to do with them to make them disappear, make them go away, to blast them, to shatter those negative thoughts and ideas and words and feelings and beliefs and images. So when life comes at you, and life happens to all of us, you've heard the scripture, it rains on the just as well as the unjust. It happens to all of us, so nobody's exempt from this. Knowing who you are is key. That's the first step. Okay, am I a victim in this? Is this happening to me, or am I a victor in this? Is this happening for me? So that
Yes.
I can become stronger, more wiser, more sound, more on purpose, have more clarity, more wisdom, more empowered. You have to, because you have to get clear on your identity, because with an identity comes all of these other things: emotions, feelings, thoughts, ideas. So what set of ideas and thoughts and words and language and feelings and emotions and beliefs would you like to have when you're going through something? A victim's set of thoughts or a victor's set of thoughts? Which one do you think will help you win this battle, will help you overcome this situation? Which one do you think will keep you empowered and not disempowered? So getting clear on who you are and who you want to be when you're going through something is key. You got to get clear on that now. And once you get clear on it, you set it and forget it. You don't waffle back and forth. Today I'm a victor and tomorrow I'm a victim. So you have to decide. You have to decide. It's a decision. I am a victor. I set it and forget it. And that's it. That's it. No matter what comes my way, I am a victor. People ask me all of the time, Tichet, how did you overcome this and that and the other? Or I want to know what was going on in your home while you were going through this. What was the perception and the posture of your family? How did you all not fall apart when you were going through this and that and the other? How is it that you guys still love each other and you're still, cordial with each other and you still enjoy being around each other after going through something like that? It's because we established who we are way before life knocked on our door. We understood that, it rains on the just and the unjust, that nobody is exempt from life. We understood that when we go through something, see, attractive thinker, there are there's nothing new under the sun. That's what I'm trying to say. The experiences that you're experiencing, you're not the first one, and you won't be the last one. So somebody on this planet has experienced exactly what you're experiencing right now. You may not know that. I know that when I was going through different experiences and challenges in my life, I felt like I was the only one. And when I looked to the left and to the right, I really didn't find anyone who could relate, because they had not gone through what I was going through. And I mean, specifically in particular, there were people around the world who may have, but at the time that I was going through that, it wasn't common place. You didn't see it in the street. You didn't see it in church. You didn't see it in school. As a matter of fact, the school and everywhere I went, we were the only family that was experiencing that everywhere we went. Can you imagine? Along with that comes feelings of loneliness, comes feelings of isolation, comes feelings of being a victim, like you're the only one, or everyone else is better off, or this didn't happen to nobody but you, or you must have did something wrong, or something's wrong with you, or you're just not cut out for what you want in life, or the desires of your heart, or happiness, or success, or whatever it might be. All of that is the culture of a victim. See, with a victim comes a culture. There's a language. There's a victim behavior. There are victim beliefs, victim feelings and emotions. There's a victim lifestyle. The way victims eat, the way victims sleep, the way they rise in the morning is totally different than the lifestyle of a victor. When a victor is going through something, yes, they may experience some of the same experiences as a victim, but their outcome is different, their perception is different, and their behavior is different. Victors don't, hang their head and start walking all slow and defeated, and like somebody just, drained all the gas out of them, and they're hopeless, or they standing on the edge of the cliff, teetering and tottering whether they're going to jump or not. Victors don't do that, because we've been around this mountain a long time. We've been in these cycles and patterns and seasons a long time. We know how this is going to pan out. You will smile again. You will lift your head up. You will move on with life. You will get married again. You will have children again. You will start another business again. You will get another car again. You will move into your dream home again. It's just never ending. It's not the end. It's just the beginning. A lot of times, these circumstances that happen in our lives that we can so easily view as a victim's experience, they're really helping us to become stronger and more defined in who we are. I really solidify our identity. Back to you, Tichet.
That is so true. And you know what? When you are a victor and you identify yourself by a victor, you know that there is no time to wallow in sorrow. You know, we don't have any time to be judging. We all know we got somewhere to go and we got things to do. So we don't have time to waste in feeling bad about ourselves. We victors care about how they feel. They care about the fact that they need the energy and the strength to get up. You know, when we talk about victim or victor, we're really talking about mindset. Because attractive thinkers already know who they are before life hits them. They're already established who they are before all of this started to happen, before your heart got broken. They know who they are, so they see themselves as who they are through the process, but being stretched, developed, and strengthened in the midst of this process. See, the thing about it is I understand my name. I understand my name is Tichet. And so if you call me anything other than that, then I have to run it through my own filter to determine whether that's true or not. Because if you call me powerful, I'll go, hey, how you doing? You know, but if you call me a loser, it's like, who are you talking to? I don't identify with that. That's not part of my vocabulary. I'll sit there and be like, I'm sorry, what does that mean? What did you say? So that you can become clear that that kind of language does not come out of another victor, because a victor will never take another victor down. We're only lifting each other up. Iron will sharpen iron. We're not trying to take each other down because we know the cost and the sacrifice that it takes for us to stay on top. Another thing I was thinking about while you were talking was groundbreakers, trailblazers, pathfinders. It is the one of the things to keep in mind while you're going through this life. You're not going to find too many people that might have done it before you. This is why you're a groundbreaker. Nobody has ever broken that ground that you know in life before. You might have people all across the globe that might have did something similar, but listen, you have a calling on your life. You have been ordained and justified and equipped to win in this life. You have so many things that you have to do, and there's not too many people that you might see in your life who has that same calling, that same justification, that same ordination. You might not see too many people who walk that level before you, so you are going first. So when you're going first, you're building up that mindset. You know, as you go along, you're getting stuff. It's like when Adam and Eve was here and God presented different things. He called this, bird. He might label this elephant. He might label different things as he go along. He started identifying stuff as he go along, but he identified it based on the language that he speaks, based on what he knows. Your identification really stems from your belief system, which shows up in your thought life. What are you always thinking about? What are you always running in the back of your mind? That's your belief system. What are you always saying out of your mouth? Because that, again, we talk about indicators. Your language is an indication of what you believe, what you think, and what you identify as. What are you constantly saying to yourself? You know, if I learn to speak Spanish or French, then I'll learn a few words, but I have to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep putting it into practice in order for me to get that language down in my system that I can speak that on autopilot. Victors, we are speaking power on autopilot. So when stuff comes, it doesn't take away our power. It gives us the opportunity to use our power. You know, when we talked about Superman last week, and when he comes upon a problem, he's not sitting there saying, oh, the world is trash and, the world is worse. He sees that opportunity to step into who he is, allow it to transform him into his higher self, and to offer a solution to people that need it or whatever presents itself. He doesn't allow it to drain his energy and stay on the ground too much longer. He know he got to get up in the air and do what he got to do. He doesn't have time to wallow and he can't. So the language of a victor is I will. Remember, we always talk about there's a difference between what you want done and what you're willing to do. There's a difference between will and want. Your wants, you can want all for decades, for years, for forever. You can want and desire, and there's nothing wrong with want. But at some point, you got to get to a point where you're not so into dreaming that you forgot to live it. So victors, we're not just into wanting, we're into willing. We're willing to do it. We're willing to do the work. We're willing to push. We're willing to rest. We're willing to pick ourselves up off the floor if we find ourselves on it. We don't stay there too long. We're willing to make sure our mind stays set on us being our greatest self. You know, when you talk about mindset, what are you setting your mind on? Are you setting your mind on victim, or are you setting your mind on the identification of a victor? Because again, what you define yourself as will determine how you make your decisions and how you go in life. And listen, if you are a groundbreaker, a trailblazer, a pathfinder, and you find yourself in a situation of feeling tired, not understanding what's going on here, you know that none of this is for nothing. You know you're coming across something. You know there's a possibility somewhere. Sometimes it might be hard for you to see. I want you to understand that your identity is one of great power. Your identity is one of more than a conqueror. You are identified by something God looked at and said it was good, whom he is well pleased. So with that, good has to come from you. You are not filled with evil. Good has to come from you. So when you look around and you see opportunity, what are the possibilities that you're missing? Because that's what you focus on, because what you focus on will grow. So as long as you're focusing on a problem, you cannot focus on the solution. You can only choose one or the other. You know, we talk about being bilingual, positive and negative. We're not talking about English, Spanish, or French. We're talking about positive or negative. Now, does that mean that we're going to always think everything is hunky-dory? No, everything is always good. You know, sometimes you might get caught up, but we don't allow ourselves to keep traveling on that road if we can't see. If you're tired and you can't see, take your moment of rest. Take your time to get yourself and line yourself up with your higher self before you go out here and you spread your gift and your encouragement and all the businesses that you have. Take your time to make sure you have that direct alignment with your higher self. You're not aligning with just anything here. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to align with this over here, because that's not what you identify yourself as. What do you identify yourself? Do you identify yourself as somebody created in his image? Do you have any idea what that means? When you say, I identify as somebody that was created in the image and the likeness of God, that means that you identify with somebody of power. You identify as somebody who creates, somebody who conquers, somebody who understands that they have dominion. You identify with somebody who know that they can do anything but fail. And if you know that you can do anything but fail, failure is not an option. Failure should not be a part of your thought life, and failure should not be a part of your language. So if you find yourself beginning to speak that, you stop right now, get yourself in alignment, fix your mindset, adjust yourself accordingly, adjust your mental breakfast, your mental lunch, your mental dinner, adjust it accordingly, because we want our higher self to create the life that we want to live. It is by tapping into and being our higher self that will create the life that we want, where the person we are, to me, I feel like the person we are now can create the now. But the person who we want to be, our higher self have to create that. So we have to get in alignment and identify with that person, allow that being to make your decisions, to walk out your life so that you can create something you've never created before. Because remember, trailblazers, this has not been walked out before you. This has not been something that you can look at and say, oh yeah, I want to do that. You might have a fresh idea. You might have something new that's in your mind, and you might not have somebody that did it first. So you have to do it. Now, when you are groundbreaking, that's not something that's easily done. That takes some strength, that takes some power, that takes some courage, and definitely takes some wisdom, because you have to know where you're going, and you have to be willing to go and not let anything stand in your way. Groundbreakers don't allow little rocks to get in the way. They don't allow any little thing that they see to stop them from breaking this ground. They know the purpose of this breaking this ground and blazing that trail. They know the purpose. They know that their generations behind them is dependent on them to make it through that. So they don't have time to be worried about the little menial stuff over there that we think is reality. That's actually not really reality. It is just a distraction. So you identify that as a distraction and don't let it distract you. You conquer it and overcome it, and you make sure you work on your mindset.
That is so true. Attractive thinker is while Tichet was talking, and thank you so much for sharing that, Tichet. I was getting so many ideas and thoughts behind what you were saying. Attractive thinker, sometimes you don't even know who you are. I know I didn't. For years, I was operating in my power, and I didn't know that. I didn't know I was operating in power. I felt weak. How can you feel weak and yet so powerful at the same time? I was operating as an attractive thinker, didn't even know who I was, hadn't even come up with the name attractive thinker yet. This is what I want to share with you, attractive thinker. When we're talking about identity crisis, I want you to know who we're talking to. I want you to know who you are. You are, like Tichet said, someone who has groundbreaking ideas. You're always different. You always find yourself in places where you don't fit. You're always the one who interjects in a conversation, and then the conversation takes a turn. You're always the one who has an idea and you go to share it and nobody gets it, or they don't get you. As an attractive thinker, you're the person who always wants to go. You're like, run. Okay, we got an idea. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. And the people around you are dragging their feet, humming and hawing, making excuses, afraid, trying to talk you out of it. You need to know who we're talking to when we create these episodes of Beyond the Break. We're talking to you. We're talking to risk takers. We're talking to people who are determined to carve new paths, do the new thing, people who are uncomfortable with the mediocrity and the mediocre conversations and the mindless chit chat and chatter and, just doing things to be doing things, being invited to functions that really don't get the results that you're looking for, or don't add meaning or value or fulfillment to your life. We're talking to you, attractive thinker. If you find yourself in this conversation, then you are a pathfinder, a trailblazer. You are the one in your family chosen to carve a new generational path. Sometimes you don't know what that is. Sometimes you just walking around like, oh, it's just me. I just have all these ideas. Oh, it's just something that I wanted to do or something I wanted to create. No, you have to identify with this thing, and you have to own it, and you have to get to know it and become one with it and make it your own. And once you take on that power, like Tichet said, you become a different person. And now the things that you do have more purpose. You're purposeful. You're not just haphazardly doing things. You're not just creating things. Oh, and I've worked with so many clients. When they come to me, I said, well, you created a beautiful product. How much are you going to sell it for? Oh, well, I was just planning on giving it away. I don't really want to charge people. That's because you don't know who you are. When you know who you are, when you understand your identity, you know what you bring to the world, and you also know its value. And you know that you're supposed to, when you give, you're supposed to get something in return. You automatically know that, because when you give and you don't get anything in return, and you may not get it in return from the same person you're giving it to, but when you don't get anything in return, you're out of alignment. You're out of order. You're out of flow. And that's why you have sporadic success and not consistent success, because you're not in the flow. You're not in the expectation. You're out of alignment. You're giving with no expectation of receiving. Do you know how valuable you are? And anything that you create comes from that valuable place. And if you have no expectation, you're gonna give away diamonds and jewels and rubies and gold and silver and not expect anything in return, just out of the kindness of your heart. You're just gonna give it all away. That's not in alignment. That's going against a principle, a law, a divine principle that says, give and you shall receive. So when we understand our identity, we expect these things from our dealings, from our doings, from our being, from our the outcome, the results that we expect to get when we create and produce. When you produce something, you expect to get something. You don't just keep producing and producing and producing and don't expect any fruit. You know, I've never seen a farmer just plant and 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 get nothing. I've never seen that, because he knows when he plants and doesn't get a return or doesn't get the expected return, he's got some adjustments to make, because he knows planting works. You're supposed to get something from that. You're supposed to get some fruit from the things that you plant. So when you understand your identity, see, a lot of times the things that we keep, the things in our life where we keep hitting roadblocks, it's an identity crisis. You think about it, attractive thinker. When you don't know who you are, the things that you do don't get the real result. You might get a result or a return, but you can't even identify the return. It's so tiny or so small or distorted or out of alignment, or you don't recognize it. You don't even know what it is, or you don't value it. You can't see its value because it didn't come from a confident knowing place. When you understand your identity, you approach life differently, you talk to yourself differently, you create differently. When you understand who you are, your books make sense. When you write a book and you don't know who you are, you don't know who you're talking to, you run off the line sometimes, you don't know what you're saying, you lose your train of thought. But when you understand who you are, you're intentional. You know exactly who you're writing the book for, you know what you have to say, you know what outcome you want them to have, you know who to market it to, because you're certain and you're sure about your identity. So when we talk about beyond the break, giving yourself a fighting chance, living life beyond a break, be it a heartbreak or a success, you have to understand your identity is going to shift. Remember, you're not who you used to be. You're not who you were when you were 5. You're not who you were when you were 15 or 25 or 35. You're not who you're going to be in 5 or 10 more years from now. So get used to your identity shifting. Now, the core of who you are, that doesn't change. But we wear so many hats in life and we take on so many identities that we play this role in this season of our life, and we play this role in that season of our life. And we're ever growing and ever changing and ever evolving. We have to be flexible with our identity. This hat, I'm taking this hat because, for example, that season of raising my children is over, so I can take off that mommy hat, the type of mommy hat that I had on. I'm still a mommy. I still got to wear that. The core of that doesn't change, but the role that I have in their life, that's what changes. So get used to your role changing in your own life and in the lives of others. So, you know, don't put the hat on and tie the bonnet and tie it real tight and snap the snaps and think you don't have to take that hat off anymore. You will. But the thing that will go with you throughout the rest of your life that never changes is the core of who you are. Back to you, Tichet.
That is so true. That is so true. One of the things that I know will contribute to our identity crisis is the feeling of being stuck. You don't understand, because when you feel like you're stuck and you're not allowing yourself to grow, that can definitely cause you to have an identity crisis, because the circumstances and situation, and you know, you're going forward and you're getting in the way of your growth, maybe needing to have everything perfect, maybe having people in your life who's always spoke certain things over you and you received it, and also not allowing yourself to receive is also part of an identity crisis. Because when you don't allow yourself to receive, you're saying to yourself, I'm not worthy. I'm not valuable. Who's going to give to me? I'm not something to give to. You know, like you were talking about the harvest. I mean, the farmer. every seed that you sow, if it's sowed in good ground and it's good seed, deserves a harvest. So when we don't take into account that we are deserving or that we are worthy, then that to me is what we identify as somebody who's not worthy. That's not in agreement with what he created you to be. He wanted you to be a giver and a receiver, or else he would not have said so. So there's a lot of different things. And you said the core of us doesn't change, the role change. And that's so true, because when we grow, our role changes. So at one time we were under people and we was listening and learning, this is how the student does the things of a student based on the mindset of a student. But when the student becomes the teacher, you do the things of a teacher. You have the mindset of a teacher. You allow yourself to grow as a teacher. And see, every stage of your life, you're a student becoming a teacher, becoming a student, becoming a teacher, because with every level you got to learn, and every level you should be teaching. It should be a giving and receiving thing. You should not just be stuck in that one thing. Like you said, you don't set it and forget it, and then that's it. It's done. You get somewhere, you get to this level, you learn this level, you conquer this level, you master this level, you teach others how to get to this level, master this level. So they learn something too, and they can teach others. But then you enter into the next level. You don't automatically know that level, and you're not expected to know that level. This is why it's the next level. This is why it stretches you. This is why it builds character. This is why it helps you to maintain and build more strength. This is why you have to keep adjusting your mindset, because when you enter into something new, you're not going to automatically know where everything is and know everybody that's there. So you have to get, you have to get acclimated with it. You have to learn the environment, learn the language, learn the different rules that go on with that level, because the rules of this level is not the same rules of the last level. You can't feed me in this level the things that I ate in the last level. I'm going to still be hungry. It's not enough. So for instance, if I grew as an adult, I can't feed off of baby food. I need real nutritional food. I need alive food. You can't feed me any old thing, because I understand that I identify with an adult. And as an adult, I am not going to order baby food just in the sake of saying I'm humble. I want adult food. I want what's going to fill me up. I want what's going to feed into my spirit, into my mindset, into my soul, so that I can continue to grow and not get stuck in the same old, same old. When you come upon people and you say, well, how you been? Girl, same thing, different day, same old, that to me is a stuck language. I will hope that if you saw me 4 years from now, I will have something different to say, something different to offer, or something different that I've learned. I do not want to be same old. And if anybody come upon me and I say same old, please check me, because that is not an indicator that I grew some. When you are forever doing mindset work, and notice I said the word forever, we are doing the mindset work. This is a lifestyle, not a goal. Mindset work is a lifestyle. You're not trying to get to the point where I just do a mindset and then boom, I'm done. I'm living my life like it's golden. No, you have to keep doing the work, because eventually you're going to get bored with that old mindset. You're going to keep recreating the same situations, the same decisions, the same circumstances, and you're going to get bored with that. So we are ever evolving. We are evolving creatures. When you look around, everything grows. Flowers grows. We grow. Everything God created will grow, unless it was determined that it was something that was supposed to just stand. But everything has its season. Everything goes through its process. You are created to go through a process, and you can't stop your own progress in your own process by trying to hold on to the same old mindset. When you do that, you'll make the same decision in a new circumstance, which will take that new circumstance into the old way of living. And that's not what we want. So this is why we have to adjust ourselves, allow ourselves to be our higher selves, and then allow that to kind of allow us to make different decisions, a decision of growth. Sometimes it might take decisions that you wouldn't normally make. You might have to do things you wouldn't normally have done that you haven't seen anybody do. I mean, that is part of being a groundbreaker and a trailblazer. You have to do something nobody has ever done before, and things that you have never done before. So it's new, it's inspiring, it's awesome, but you don't want to get stuck there either. You want to keep blazing that trail. You don't want to get stuck at the beginning of this race. Keep starting over. You get in the race, you go maybe 1 mile, just 1 mile. You go 1 mile and you stay there at that 1 mile, and then you focus on the mile you just did. You're looking back at every little thing that you did. You're judging every little thing that you did. You're getting stuck at that 1 mile. Then you say, oh, I got stuck here. I got to start over. So then you go back and you try to start again. How are you going to finish the race if we keep having to start over? Now, here's the thing. If you have to, because sometimes if we find if we find ourselves in a wrong place, don't keep going in the wrong. Figure out where you are. Get clear or clarity on where you're supposed to go, and then restart again. But number one, don't give up. And if you're going to go forward, don't keep going in the wrong. When you set a GPS system and you set a destination, I don't know about y'all, but when I set a destination, I trust in that GPS, that God's positioning system. I trust in that. I know that he's going to take me where he called me to go. So when I set that destination in and I'm driving, I'm trusting that he's going to lead me the next direction. So in that trusting, it allows me to maybe have a conversation. I could look and take in some of the environment. I can take joy in the process and in the journey when I trust my GPS. And I know that when I get to that next turn, if I should miss that turn, then I know that GPS will reroute me so that I can still make it to my destination in a good amount of time. It's not going to take me all the way back to start, back to home and say, let's do it again. Go on the road. If you got to take the roads you've already taken again, no, it's going to say recalculate it. And then after a while, if you are a person who is just hard-headed, you're just not listening, you want to keep going in the wrong, your GPS system will say, are you sure this is where you want to go? The first time I heard my GPS say that, do you still want to go to this destination? I was like, oh, okay, they checking to make sure I'm okay because I'm not listening. This is the thing with life. When you're getting directions from your higher self from God, you want to follow it. You have to trust it. That means that you can't lean into your own understanding, but you allow yourself to lean into what he says to do and where he says to go. You listen to your instincts. You listen to your gut feeling. That gut feeling that's telling you, oh, don't go over there. You listen to it. You get clear on who's talking, because you can't just listen to any and everything. You understand the voice of your GPS system and the passenger that's in your car. You understand the difference. So when we're on our journey, we want to also enjoy the journey, but that's going to take some trust in that GPS, that destination that was set forth. Number one, we're going to reach it, and we're trusting that the directions that we need to go, that he's going to he's going to let us know to turn here within 1 mile. We're going to turn here. We don't want to keep going in the wrong direction by being hard-headed and keep recreating the same route and going in circles. You keep ending up back home and ending up back home. Listen, I do not want to go around no mountain for 40 years. We have been at this mountain long enough. It is time to get off that exit and make a different turn, make a different decision, and allow ourselves to reach our destination. But it is clear on whether or not we are identifying with God, who is our GPS system.
I like that. I like that, Tichet. When you talk about the GPS system, that's a faith process. And like you say, you have to trust, because so many times I was like, this stupid GPS don't know what it's talking about. It's taking me over. What is wrong with this GPS? But eventually, what I got from your analogy about the GPS was that no matter how many times it reroutes, it is still focused on getting you to the same destination. No
Yep.
matter how many times it has to change. You might run into a detour. You might run into a road that's no longer there, that the GPS is picking up as if it's there. You know, no matter how many roadblocks you run into or how many ways or paths that are blocked and closed, that GPS will reroute. It will change the path to the destination, but it's the same destination. It will not change the destination because it is committed to getting you there. And that's
Yes.
where the trusting comes in at. We have to trust that our path in life, our destiny is committed to getting us there. God's will and purpose for our lives, He's committed to getting us there. And a lot of times it's easy to forget that because of what you're going through or the type of situation that you're going through. Sometimes those beyond, those breaks in life, those defining moments, they can bring you to your knees. When we talk about living life beyond the break, or today we're talking about identity crisis, you're in an identity crisis when you're at a fork in the road and you have yet to take a path. You just stopped and you're still waffling back and forth with this decision making process, wondering which path to take. See, at a crossroads or at a defining moment, in life, you're stripped away down to your core, down to the core. Remember I said the core of you never changes. It's just who you are. It's why you're wired that way. It's manufactured and built in. So when you get to that fork in the road, you get down to your core. It strips you down to your core. All of those bags that you carry, you have to drop all of those bags, all of those hats you wore, all of those images that you had of yourself, and images that people had of you. All of that, the wind just blows it all away. And you're standing there as the core of who you are, the truth of who you are, who you really are at the root. And I'm going to tell you something, attractive thinker. When you see that, sometimes when you see who you really are at the root, you can't even identify with it. If you've been carrying all of these bags and wearing all of these hats and have all of these images, you're this to that one and you're that to this one and you're this to yourself and you're that to him and this to her. When you've been wearing all of these hats and showing up with all of these images, you don't recognize your true self. You don't recognize who you truly are. And then when a defining moment strips all of that away from you, you're standing there and you're like, okay, well, who is this person? Who am I now? And we did an episode of Beyond the Break with that topic. Who am I now? Or who am I now, like after this or after this experience? And you should go back and listen to that because it helps you identify yourself. It helps you recognize yourself. You can lose yourself when you're going through something. You can have a distorted view of the real image of yourself when you're going through something. So you're in that identity crisis and life has stripped everything away. The things that used to be important are not important anymore. The things that were not important are now the number one priority in your life. You're at your core. You're at the root of who you are, your real identity. And sometimes you struggle to identify with that person. You look at it, he's like, well, who is this person? Or what do I do with this? This person looks more powerful than I do or than I feel. How do I function as this person? And just like a superhero, you put the suit on and you figure it out. You put the suit on and you try some things. You keep walking. You choose a path and you keep walking with the suit on until you figure out how to use that suit on your journey, until you figure out that that suit is you, until you figure out that this is your power, until you figure out that you're supposed to walk in this path and you're wired for this and this is your new life. Like Tichet said, you grow from student to teacher to student to teacher to student to teacher, and it's never ending. There is no end to you as long as you're breathing. There's no end to this process. So you can't get stuck in one image or identity of yourself, or you'll go throughout your life seeing yourself as that when you should have seen yourself as greater, when you should have been at different levels, when you should have experienced more of life, but you're only looking through the lens of that one image, that one self-image. So when we talk about identity crisis, I want you to take out your Attractive Thinker notebook and really get crystal clear on who you are. You might say, well, Dr. Toni, I don't know who I am. Well, book a clarity session, www.clarity.theattractivethinker.guru, Guru. I help attractive thinkers all of the time get clear on who they are. You know, my clients come to me sometimes with all of these issues and concerns when it's really an identity crisis, because once you know who you are, you know how to handle it. Once you know who you are, you know what to say about it, or what decision to make about it, or how to be in it. You know what outcome to get from it. You know what gems to look for once you know who you are. But when you don't know who you are, it's just like, it's like an overwhelming whirlwind, and you feel so stuck and suffocated. You don't even know how to handle it. And when you find yourself stuck means you're not moving anymore. And as attractive thinkers, we're always on fire. We're always moving. We're always ready for the next thing, to create the next thing, to help the next person, to build the next thing, to carve a new path. But when you're stuck, when you hit an identity crisis and you're stuck and you don't recognize yourself, you don't recognize anything around you, you don't recognize this new feeling, this new emotion, this new energy that you just stepped into, that can keep you stuck for years. That can keep you stuck for a very long time. So it's important to get the right tools that you need to support you in your identity crisis, so that you can come out a victor. You can function in it as a victor and not a victim. It's a terrible sight to see us function as victims in our true identity. Here you are standing in all of your power, and you're acting like you're powerless. So being in an identity crisis is an opportunity to find out who you really are. I trust that you have enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Break with my co-host, Tichet Bradshaw, the Visual Encourager. I want you to visit our website, www.theattractivethinker.guru, where you can get the resources, the mental tools that you need to support you with having a mental breakfast, fortifying yourself with your mental lunch, and mentally strengthening your mind and giving you that crystal clear laser focus and clarity with a mental dinner. Some mental snacks. We all need that. You can't let your mind go, because the mind is a powerful thing. It will go into places where you don't want it to go. And sometimes it's hard to come out of those places. So when we talk about identity crisis, I want you to remember this. It's up to you who you define yourself as. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can get me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for people who's dealing with depression, who desires, you have that desire to lift that heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information, let me know how I can uplift you, encourage you, and enlighten you so you can live a life of fulfillment. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. I'll see you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, I want you to always remember, our life's work, that is always to make your life better. It is not what you're going through. It's how you're feeling. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.